Right, so this is our blog. Before we actually started the production stage of our coursework, we wanted to get an idea of what the audience would like to see and an idea of the audience that we will be aiming to get. So we asked them a few questions, made a survey. The first question we asked was a basic one about the gender. This meant if we had a more male audience, we could cater the film to aim for a more male audience, so we'd have more male characters, more male stereotypes within the film, and vice versa if it was a female audience, more female characters and that kind of thing. So we had like a 50-50 kind of result. So what we ended up doing was having 2 male characters, 2 female characters, and it meant that the 2 main characters, one was female, one was male, and that way the audience could relate to both the female and male characters depending on obviously which gender they were. The second question we asked was their age. Now we found that 17-year-olds was kind of the most prominent age, and again similar to the age, to the gender one, sorry, we could cater it towards that specific age range. So our characters were between the ages of 17 and 18, and this meant that the audience could relate back to our characters more. So then the third question we asked was which of these subgenres of horror are you most likely to watch. So we had choices from like psychological, paranormal, blood/gore. Now with horror films, because of the different subgenres, we wanted to pick out one that the audience would prefer. Now it came out that the audience preferred psychological horrors, and this meant that the blood and gore kind of category was quite weak. There wasn't many people opting for that one, so there wasn't much of that at all. Whereas the psychological, within the film we added a lot of background noise and maybe like stones being thrown to create a bit more atmosphere and a bit more tension, and it played on the audience's mind a bit more. So that was the idea behind doing that. The fourth question we asked was, does the trailer to a film heavily influence your choice to watch the film? So of course this one wasn't going to influence us as much, in the sense that we chose to create a trailer and we weren't going to make the trailer a little less good in a sense just because the audience would say that it didn't affect the decision to watch the film. But anyway, the results came out that pretty much everyone said that the trailer does influence them in watching the film. So that was good to know. And then the next question we asked was, what conventions of horror draws you to wanting to watch them? So the main thing that came back here was the storyline. There was other things like the jump scares, the setting and the gore, but the storyline was the main thing. So because of this, we wanted to create a good storyline that was strong and that kept the audience like interested. So we worked quite heavily on that throughout the planning and research stage. There's also a few people that actually opted for jump scares. So because of this, we did have a few in there. We had like a nun screaming, louder noises, flashing images on the trailer. So we adapted a few different kind of conventions of it in order to get a wider audience. So the next question we asked was, what type of camera work do you like to see in a horror? So what most people said for this was that they wanted like a handheld kind of camera technique. This was easier for us because it meant that we didn't have to focus as much on keeping the camera still. We had a bit more freedom when it came to the filming, so we could, if one of us if it was a bit shaky, it wasn't too much of a problem, and we could work with it and turn it into this handheld footage kind of thing. We did have a few still shots and panning shots because some people did opt for that, but for the majority of the film it was handheld to meet the greater audience's wants. So after that, we had our 2 audience profiles. We did one for a male, one for a female. The male was a guy called Liam Richardson, and he was age 20. And his favourite film genre was psychological horror, so again, like playing on the audience's mind, that kind of horror film. His favourite film was The Blair Witch Project, and because of this, we tried to emulate, in a sense, similar conventions that the Blair Witch Project had. So the way it was filmed with the handheld shaky cam footage kind of technique, and also the setting was in like a foresty kind of thing, and we, in our trailer, we filmed in a forest because it was a similar setting, quite eerie and quite tense, and we thought that worked quite well. So because of the success of the Blair Witch Project, we thought we'd try to not copy it, but to take bits and use them to our advantage. So the next audience profile we looked at was a girl called Rihanna Walkden. She was 17 years old, and her favourite genre was like horror. Genre was horror in general. Her favourite film was The Woman in Black. Now, because The Woman in Black didn't have much handheld footage in it, if any at all, we couldn't take as much from this as the Blair Witch Project. However, we did take certain aspects like the characters' dress sense and look. So in our film we used a nun character, and this was similar to the Woman in Black herself, in what she wore, the long black dress and her makeup. So we wanted to take bits from the Blair Witch Project, like the handheld camera, as that was quite an in-demand aspect of horror films for our audience, but we also wanted to take bits from like the Woman in Black to meet the needs and demands of our other audience, to get a wider range of viewers.